Went live. We are live. Hello and welcome. All right, those joining us on live, welcome. Getting the backstage look at us creating a podcast. Got everything set up. I think this week we're not on mute, so we're good there.
Yeah, we're good.
But welcome. All right, I'm going to click go on our podcast software. Here we go. All right.
It is June.
It's June.
June 17th.
Almost halfway through the year.
Yep, June 17th, and new PPP applications came out, I think, today or yesterday.
Yeah, there's an easy form now.
An easy one.
And a long form.
Not that easy.
Not easy at all. Very, very complicated, but it's actually...
That's like the 1040 easy, 1040 not so easy. I never got the difference between the two. It's a good thing I don't do taxes.
But it's actually very relevant to our discussion today, which we wanted to focus, continue our discussion of the GrowthLab Four.
Yep.
Which we'll review them. We'll actually focus on number 3, which for us really started transforming marketing for profit, which really started transforming with the original PPP loan chaos.
Right. Well, I would go back even further, right? Our marketing...
that was a pivotal moment, right?
That was a pivotal moment. But our marketing efforts truly started, I would say, Q1 of 2019, where we doubled down on marketing and sort of put on hold a little bit the face-to-face sales, although that's always been an important part of our business development strategy. But focusing on market for profit, one of the things we realized is customer acquisition costs in our business is actually pretty high when it's like hand-to-hand combat, meaning you're developing referral networks, you're going out to networking events. Right? You don't see it because it's not dollars coming out of your bank, but it's hours coming out of your sort of 40, 80 hours a week that you're already working, right? Not very efficient.
And when you are growing a business and you're doing it, you're bootstrapping it, so to speak, some of the best efficacy on sales and marketing is that networking. And it's more, I would call it maybe more networking than marketing, right? Because we're out there driving that hand-to-hand combat. But let's just review the GrowthLab 4 before we keep going down this marketing for profit. Yep. So the GrowthLab 4 is 4 areas that we see businesses of all sizes struggling with or challenged with as they work to grow the business.
Right. So number 1 is helping customers understand their cash flow. Customers have a very difficult time understanding the difference between cash flow and their actual accounting system, right? The numbers that are spit out of your QuickBooks, your NetSuite, et cetera, look a whole lot different than the numbers that are actually in your bank account. And then, small business owners are always scratching their head like, why the hell isn't my numbers like matching? So that's the first one.
Number two is know where you're making and losing money. Product lines, widgets. Where are you actually making money, and what products or services are actually getting subsidized?
And that's a great one because that one is a function of the foundation of the business, right? The collection of the information, financial information of the business. So being able to understand where you're making and losing money, not just what is my gut feeling today, but it's like, hey, do I have the systems and processes to capture this data and then compile the data and then ultimately present the data for decision making? And number 3?
Number 3, what we'll focus on today more is marketing for profit, not just revenue. And that one we'll go into in more detail. And then number 4 is paying for performance, specifically getting employees compensated in a way that aligns their activities with the company goals and metrics that you're
right. And what we've always said is number 4 is sort of the driving force, if you will, for 1, 2, and 3. Paying employees for minimizing working capital, for example, paying for employees to ensure that we're making and losing, not losing, but we're making money where we're supposed to be making money. And of course, number 3, are we compensating our team for not just marketing and sales, but proper onboarding, customer retention, right? So one of the things we always forget about marketing is all about acquisition, and we tend to forget about the retention. It's a lot cheaper or more cost effective to actually retain a customer than it is to acquire a customer.
In order to retain a customer, you need to have that good customer fit, right? So it goes back to strategic marketing, knowing your customer, knowing the market.
So let's talk a little bit about marketing for profit in our business. this can be analogous across all industries, but sort of thinking about the service-based business, whether you're legal, accountancy, financial planning, wealth management, that business has always been built on referrals, right? Referrals has been sort of the core driver of business for many of those industries. And one of the things we realized is, hey, we can't hinge the success of our business on other people. So back in the day, 95% of our business referrals actually came from CPAs, accountants that would ultimately at the end of the year get a shoebox full of crap, and they'd be like, I can't go through this. I'm going to go hire an accounting firm, a bookkeeping firm. And we knew we didn't want that. We wanted to control our destiny.
Yeah.
And so that's what this is about. This is going to show you a little bit about our marketing strategy and efforts.
And just kind of like walk us through like the last 5 years of our journey, right? Because it was even up till early 2019, a lot of being out there networking.
Yeah.
But even before that, even when we're doing that, our value proposition to our customers as a company is that we're bringing our experience as individuals and as a company to them, right? So to take big corporate functions and fractionalize it, so to speak. And one of the things we did early on was develop content, right? Even before we had any marketing, even before we had focus on what does our marketing look like, it was developing content. And that really initially helped us reduce our sales cycle, not actually drive new sales.
Right.
Because people would look for us, find us in our content, and it's value-added stuff, about payroll, or about accounting, or best practices. And
especially on the CFO side, right? And on the CFO side or the advisory side, it would take us easily 6 to 9 months to close a good deal, right? A big deal. On the accounting side, the cycle was less because it was coming through sort of CPA referrals, right?
Yep.
So it was about content creation, content management, but it was also about diversifying our referral base. So I would say that's sort of like step one in our or step two in our evolution of business development. And here we are, step three, which is inbound marketing, truly inbound marketing, synced with outbound sales, right? So where you're going is, hey, let's talk about our story as an example in the last 3 months.
And one of the things before we get there, just it was pivotal, I think, for us. One of our customers who did sign on with us, and, it took 6, 8 months for them to come on as a higher level customer. But one of their comments to us was it was kind of a leap of faith to sign on with you guys, and that took us a little bit by surprise. But because we are out there, we are spending a lot of time with our prospects. We're giving a lot of stuff away for free. And him to still say it took a leap of faith. We were out there, we were pounding the pavement, we were developing relationships with different service providers, expanding our referral base. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we weren't out in where we were giving away free content, but we weren't out there explaining to the market
the value proposition
and how that works.
So let's kind of give a glimpse into. So we talked with Brent from Winalytics not that long ago. We talked about altruistic selling, right? And when COVID-19 hit, we looked at each other in early March, not to repeat ourselves, but we were just like, okay, shit, I think it's the end of selling for another 6 months, right? Nobody's going to buy anything new unless they're replacing a current service provider with our services.
And we'd already had a marketing team in place for about 12 months.
2 marketing team members. We also had an outside marketing firm help us with the foundation of some of our marketing efforts earlier in 2019.
And as business owners, one of our key things was we did not want to let anybody let go. We wanted to, as much as we could, hold on to our whole team, keep everybody around the table, keep compensation level, and keep everybody here. So which we did.
So hopefully our PPP loan application will be the easy one and not the hard one, but I doubt it.
But at the same time, how do we utilize all of our resources, right? And so like finding other ways to keep our marketing team engaged, keeping them developing content was part of it.
And let's face it, those were trying times. I mean, it was only 3 months ago, but those were friggin' trying times where we really didn't know what was in store for us come April 1st. And so we decided as a management team and as a company to double down on our marketing efforts, because otherwise we'd be sitting around and, who knows how long this was going to take. So our goal was to keep everyone here, to keep everyone employed, keep everyone engaged, but also, okay, how do we invest in the future of this company? And so that's when we all doubled down one evening on I think it was a Wednesday, second week of March. And CARES Act was starting to kind of come together. There was some framework around the PPP loan, and everybody started scrambling. Like, how do I calculate my PPP loan, right?
Yeah, everybody was scrambling. Yet there was no like concrete stuff out there. And there's
no calculators.
There's no calculators.
No applications yet.
A lot of things were in flux, and a lot of things remained in flux. But what we were doing was planning, right?
We took a leap of faith.
Take the information at hand and plan. And planning was becoming, people were focusing more on planning disaster recovery because the disaster had stinking hit, and needed to address it. And so we did. I mean, one of the things we did that Wednesday was. I remember I was on.
We created one of the first PPP loan calculators.
I said to one of my employees, "What are you doing?" Because he obviously was not paying attention to me, but he was actually paying attention. He was taking to the next steps. He was actually building a web app that created your PPP calculator. How much is my PPP loan going to be?
Right. And we took a first stab at like maybe what does a forgiveness look like? Obviously, this was like way too early for that, and we know a lot of things have changed. But back to the marketing efforts, it was okay. How do we develop the customer journey for the next 2 to 3 months? We knew that customers were not going to come to us for finance as a service. Maybe they were going to come for us for some light accounting, maybe some light tax work. But at the end of the day, they weren't going to come to us for the full service finance as a service partner that we want.
And what you said there was we looked at the customer journey, right? Because when you think about marketing for profit, you have to know who your customer is, and you have to know what their journey is going to be, right?
Right.
So what you said there was we took a look at their customer journey. We spent a lot of time in front of the whiteboard. What is the journey going to look like for small businesses, and where can we add value to them, and where are they going to be looking for services, right? And valuable services.
And knowing that they weren't going to pay for anything for the first 3 months, at least until there's more clarity. So how do we add value to that journey? When hopefully on the flip side, you got yourself a new customer, whether it's
exactly
3 months from now or 12 months from now.
That's where that marketing for profit comes in, is marketing today, giving value today, so that when they have the ability to pay 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, 2 weeks down the road, they're going to turn to us and come to us to help them provide that.
So what did we do that Wednesday? Obviously, this is something that's been in the works for years, right? This was not our first rodeo at this, but this was a very interesting sort of moment where we walked in. Nobody's going to buy anything new, but yet there is a great need for what we do. Great. So give it for free. So let's talk a little bit about what happened that Wednesday.
Yeah,
we started off with a calculator.
And we ended up with a landing page on a dedicated website, mygrowthlab.com, and that was the place that we started putting all of our resources for
COVID-19,
for
cash
PPP.
flow planning.
There's a lot of cash flow planning. We turned into that was the Wednesday. We had that landing page. We were able to build ads. We were able to drive people to that page. Traffic went nuts. Right. I mean, from all over the country, even all over the world. But obviously, it's only applicable here. But traffic went crazy because there were at the time no other calculators.
And there was a need, and there's
a big need.
They were trying to figure out whether or not, one, could they apply for the PPP loan? When could they do it? And for how much, right? And I would say we were probably one of the first calculators, because as we were doing Google keywords and Google Trends, we realized that nobody was really looking for this yet, except over the last 5 days. The traffic was starting to build around those search items. And that's when we looked at each other and we said, okay, there are small businesses that are looking and seeking information about this, because they're hitting a point where, they're starting to feel scared. Things have closed down for 2 weeks. April 1st is right around the corner. How am I going to survive? There's this opportunity with the government. So we sort of developed this emotional cycle of the small business owner, which, by the way, we have not seen the end of it. We do believe this cycle is going to last for another 6 months, specifically because of COVID. Obviously, every small business has ups and downs. And so we began to develop ads on Google, and also we immediately created some blog posts that jumped to the first page. I mean, if you Googled, obviously this goes back 2 months ago, we're not focused on that anymore, fortunately. We're actually on to something else. We developed blogs that were actually on the first page of the Google search for those particular keywords, which was PPP loan calculator. We were like number 4. And that happened in 48 hours. That's how quickly everything really moved.
And for us, like on the technical side, like that was really a game changer for us, because we had done Google Ads before, we had done different things, but there had never been such a clear and specific need that we were at the forefront for.
Right. And I think that's step 1. So, I mean, if there were 3 steps that kind of come out of this, as you're thinking about your marketing program, it's who's the customer and what is their need? And sometimes you have to take a step back and think about the customer from the second, third derivative. What are the drivers? What's happening socially, economically, politically? What's happening that's going to drive customer behavior? Because you're really trying to predict something. And so in that case, on that Wednesday, we kind of felt that in 2 weeks, the president was going to ultimately sign this CARES Act, and we wanted to get ahead of the game. And so we said, all right, let's begin to develop 1, content for SEO, and 2, advertising to help supplement and drive traffic even faster. Now that you know the customer's needs, you can begin to identify what are they going to be searching for, because what they're searching for has a direct link to what they're feeling. And then from there, you develop a solution. And in this case, we're like, hey, this is going to be a free solution, right? Even coming out of that, we spent 2 or 3 weeks just having webinars and office hours, all because of that Wednesday. That traffic was so immense. We had a ton of people that wanted help. And if you're thinking about market for profit, well, you can't be servicing everyone at the individually. So how do sort of
goes back to altruistic selling, right? That we talked about with Brent. It's give them something, and for us that was the landing page, and then it turned into we had the whole thing about Small Business Black Monday, which was its own thing, but this all is just a huge need right now, and we had a lot of thoughts, thinking, and content to deliver. We wanted small businesses to think strategically about this, not just think about how do I spend it the fastest?
How do I get it and spend it?
Because at that time we only had 8 weeks to spend it. Black Monday is pretty much annihilated with the fact that we're moving to 24 weeks, but that's a whole different story. But this all started us down this journey of more altruistic selling and being out there, and not just developing content and some blogs, but we have weekly jumps Mondays. We have a podcast. We're going to do an emergency podcast about the different PPP forgiveness applications. That's all because that Wednesday, where it was an aha moment for us. Hey, here's new ways for us to deliver content to the market and drive up our brand awareness and our value to the small business.
And that moment pretty much has defined our journey over the last 2 to 3 months, right? Because as we're not going to lie here, right? Business did pull back, and you either had the choice of right-sizing your business or reallocating resources, right? And that's what we decided to do.
Yeah, it wasn't just our marketing team that was doing this, right? I mean, we pulled in our service team to call customers, to be on some of those office hours, right? So that they could be answering questions, because they're the technical experts.
So that was a really, with the backdrop of COVID, this was actually a fun exercise. It was enjoyable. We saw results. Did we land new sales, new customers, new revenue per se? Not really. But that wasn't the intent. We knew going into that wasn't going to be the intent. Now,
but at the same time, it did get us comfortable, A, being on video, B, because we didn't start out there, right? B,
we've done video once in a while, but
getting our name out there. C, we've done at least probably on average 2 to 3 events over the last 3 months.
Yeah. And
then those events, I would say we've gotten a lot more gutsy about doing them. And, we have seen volume and deal flow from that
So let's talk about as we're looking, sort of give the audience a glimpse into how we're thinking about the customer journey today, June 17th, right? What are we thinking as a team for the next 2 to 3 months? Obviously, Black Monday is less of an issue, but it's still going to be somewhat of an issue because as we begin to dive into the PPP loan application, it is daunting. It is in the 9th inning. There is not things you can do like in the first inning to change how the application is going to get filled out. Yes, you can extend to 24. You can extend it to 24 weeks, but that may not actually put you in a better situation based on sort of what's the state of the business. It could actually put you in a worse predicament. So that wasn't like going into that. I was excited about the change from 8 to 24, but as you really dive into the numbers and you think about business strategy and planning, that may not actually work out for some customers. You're almost better off bite the bullet, take the 8 weeks, and take the application and deal with the loan. What are we thinking about
in terms of the customer journey? Right,
what are customers going to be looking for? What are their needs in the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks, 3 months. Planning. People are much more focused on planning and thinking ahead about where their business is going. For obvious reasons, but for us, that's. How do you say it? It's nice to see. Not the reason that people are focused on it is not great, right? But it's great reactive to see people focus on planning, because whether we're in good times or bad times, we should always be focused on planning. We should look at different scenarios. We should look at risks to our plan, opportunities. What are the countermeasures? And that's what people are now thinking about. And for us, in terms of our own business and marketing for profit, it's also building out the team so that we can deliver against what we feel is going to be increased demand for services such as ours. So
for us, what we're thinking about now is, the next wave of customer needs is going to be around this Paychex Protection Program application. That thing is a monster.
It is a big monster, and we've built.
We're starting to build the landing pages, the calculators, the advanced Excel templates. Like we're getting, we're bulking up because we know that the next wave of needs. It's not going to be like this huge peak that happened in those 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to be a longer drawn out need, right, volume wise, but it's going to be there. So that's number one. Number two, what else are we thinking about? Well, we're actually in the process of building out the sales team by bringing on someone potentially on the West Coast. So that's going to be a big opportunity for us. So as we're thinking about market for profit, we are thinking about 2020 as geographic expansion for our company. And we're stoked and we're excited and more to come. So
so that's a little bit of our journey.
A little bit of our journey and how we look at market for profit.
And if you go to mygrowthlab.com, you won't see our original PPP loan calculator as you used to. You will see the new template for not just determining your forgiveness, but spitting out your schedules for the long form PPP forgiveness application, which is quite daunting.
And I'm going to end it here. People look at us, the market look at us. They say, companies have 2 or 3 core competencies. We always saw one of our core competencies, of course, is higher level financial management advisory, strategic planning. The second is around accountancy, but for business decision. And I'd say the third that we have built over the last year and a half is actually digital marketing. Digital marketing, inbound marketing, and outbound sales. And I'm really stoked about that. And I think with those 3 core competencies, 2020 is going to be a good year. And on that note,
we're out.